Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Dining, mostly turnip.
Topless.
Tomatoes.
We already did tomatoes.
Shit.
All right. I'm your host, Abel. This is also your host, Spencer. Say hi, Spencer.
Hi.
And this is also your host, Thomas. Say hi, Thomas.
No, I don't want to. I'm gonna say hello.
All right.
That's great.
Later on in today's showing, we'll be talking about the movie Doctor Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb. But we're going to get started doing some other stuff. So, Spencer, why don't you take us to our first topic?
Okay, so I'm not sure if you guys have heard this news. This was trending on Twitter today. Marvel gave their first official little teaser today of Venom's sequel. It's currently in development. It's titled Venom Let There Be Carnage.
Oh.
This is obviously going to probably be another successful movie. We know the first one was.
Well, have you guys
seen a sequel?
Have you guys seen the first one?
I'm wondering what your initial thoughts are about the sequel. What you think where you think they're going to go with this. I mean, obviously the Carnage character is probably going to be part of this, but I just want to know what you guys think. If Venom deserved a sequel in the first place, or if this movie is just another bad Marvel spin-off.
Well, I'm just gonna say, have you guys seen Venom?
I have not seen Venom, but I know a great deal about Venom from what I've heard about it.
It is hilarious. I actually enjoy it. But if you watch the end credits scene, I don't know if you guys know this, but they teased Carnage, and you know who's going to be playing him?
Who?
Woody Harrelson.
Oh dear.
And Woody Harrelson plays like the same dude in like almost every movie that I've seen him in. So
yeah, well, I mean, he just plays Woody Harrelson.
Carnage in the comics was always like kind of he was like a redneck type who was just like he was just a bad dude. But like Woody Harrelson makes sense, but I was actually curious about this because my follow-up question is, who would you guys have liked to play Carnage?
I mean, Woody Harrelson is a good choice, I have to say. I like that choice.
My ideal choice would be, I think his name's Tim Blake Nelson. The guy who played Rorschach in the Watchmen movie.
No.
Isn't that his name?
No, that dude plays Looking Glass in the Watchmen show. Jackie Earle
really?
Is who you're talking about.
Oh, I am so stupid. Oh my god. Okay.
Watchmen show though, highly recommend.
Yeah, Watchmen show's good, but that's a little bit unrelated. Whatever. Well, Rorschach, that was one of the best comic book casting choices of all time, in my opinion. I mean, that guy like couldn't have been more Rorschach. And I feel like I really wanted to see him play some sort of villain type character. And like Carnage isn't the most angsty.
Isn't really a good person, so
I know, but like Carnage isn't like this deep brooding villain with these big plans. He's literally just like, I'm here to destroy things. Like I have this cool alien symbiote all over me, and I'm going to just destroy.
I mean, his name is literally Carnage.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm wondering, is Venom gonna be like the hero here?
Yes.
Was Venom the hero in his movie?
Yeah. It's like him, like Tom Hardy and him are like beefing throughout the entire movie. Like him and the symbiote like don't like each other, but then at the end they like they come back. For like no reason, like Venom just starts to not want to destroy everything at the end. Like it's not really explained why. And honestly, nothing in that movie makes sense, which makes me really excited for a sequel because I think it could be the new Transformers franchise.
Wasn't that funny?
Well, I mean, look at the first Transformers movie. It's not not a great movie, but it's the best of the Transformers movies. And you know that Venom is made by the good people over at Sony Pictures. So
I mean, that's very true. So you're saying they could get exponentially worse the farther they go as
yeah,
they become
I hope so.
their own level of hilarity. I would if that actually happened, I would hope they would bring something new to the table because Michael Bay with Transformers brought the corniest, cheesiest, most racist explosions that you could imagine, and that those made them very special and memorable. But I would wonder what the Venom franchise could do to stand out among awful movies.
To be fair, I feel like Venom has
Honey,
a much smaller sandbox to work with than Transformers did. I mean, like Transformers, literally, like the lore, as much as Michael Bay just kind of like threw everything together, like it runs a lot deeper than what
movie lore,
they're
dude.
working with. No, but like I'm saying, like, okay, who
Oh, wait,
owns the rights to Venom? Is it Fox?
Sony.
So I'm done. Sony.
Conway.
Um, Sony owns the rights to Venom and Carnage, and
All
I
all of the Sinister Six. They own all
so
Spider-Man villains basically. Because remember that the Spider-Man MCU movies aren't Marvel Studios really. Marvel Studios just made them for Sony.
so at this point, Venom's just kind of in this studio limbo.
The
Like
Venom verse.
he theoretically could make his way into the MCU at a later date, but we're not sure until we know a little bit more about
Yeah.
where Marvel and Sony stand.
And I think the Venom movie, it would be a little awkward, but if Sony gave the rights back to Marvel, they could easily fit the Venom verse inside the MCU or whatever you're gonna call
The
it.
Venomverse.
That's
Yeah.
terrible, Eagle. Please stop.
I love Venom verse movies, even though there's only been one of them. I'm a Venom verse stan.
Okay, all right.
Okay, and I think that's enough. That's enough from that. Venomverse
You can only
stan.
talk about Venom for so long.
Yeah,
You can only talk about the depths of the Venom verse.
I just feel like that movie is just like
You haven't
very.
seen it, Spencer.
Yeah, I know, but like just
Don't
the
judge
whole
a book
idea
by
of
its
it,
cover.
it's just that type of movie. But with that, I think that was a bad topic choice. But now I'm gonna move
No,
on.
that was great. I think we had a very good conversation about it.
I have a more broad question. This one applies to pretty much everything. But what is an abandoned film series that deserves a second chance or a new edition?
Transformers.
Okay, well, I wouldn't say Transformers is abandoned. I'm pretty sure they're still working on that.
I hope they are.
Okay. I realize that I don't give you guys time to prepare for these questions, but
Yeah.
we can't just have
We should
silence.
plan this out in the future.
Yeah.
But no, a lot of this, I feel like if the three of us just gave our planned answers to a question like this, then it wouldn't be very interesting. We'd just be like, I agree with you, or I don't like that movie.
Well,
Then
no,
it's not
but
interesting.
at least we all have conversation starters, and we can say
Yeah.
something, and then everybody else can disagree or agree with it.
Okay, well, can you guys think of a movie that ended at a place where they could easily have continued it? You wish they had, but they never did. And I'm gonna open this up to like this could even be something that they canceled because someone died. They canceled because any sort of reason like that. But like a movie that you wish they would make another sequel to, but it doesn't seem like they will in the future.
No, but I will say this. There's a lot of movies where I wish that a villain could have been more present in the rest of the series and franchise. Like, if we're talking about people who died, definitely Heath Ledger's Joker. I'm so upset that there was only one Christian Bale Batman Heath Ledger Joker movie that ever existed, and there could have been a lot more of a franchise made out of those two characters because Heath Ledger's Joker is such a great villain. But aside from that, I wish that in the Phantom Menace they didn't just kill Darth Maul. That really sucked. It really made the rest of the prequels, for what they were, pretty loose and without any real compelling villains.
I just looked up movies that should get sequels, and it's like a ranked website where people vote, and the number two most voted thing to get a sequel is the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie.
Which just has a sequel.
Yeah, I know.
If you'd asked me this question like 4 or 5 years ago, I would have said like Blade Runner or something. But I feel like Blade Runner 2049 is like the absolute correct way to do this.
I haven't even seen the first one, and I really liked that movie.
The first one, the director's cut of the first one is on Netflix. Like it's a good movie.
I started it and then turned it off because I was like, I'm not going to be able to pay attention to anything that's going to go on.
Yeah, it's a little sub, but it's a good movie.
I think it's worth paying attention to.
It's definitely worth it. It's a great movie. And Harrison Ford, young Harrison Ford, he's so just I love him.
What's your guys' favorite Harrison Ford role?
Han Solo.
Yeah, Han Solo.
I like Indy better, personally.
I need to watch those movies again. I think that they need to get cracking on this mother effing Mad Max 5 because Miller is he's 75. And
I didn't know he was that old.
If you didn't know, Mad Max 4, it came out in 2015, but they shot the entirety of it in 2012. And they just chill in there for like a few years.
Oh, so that was like when he was 67. So a lot has happened.
Yeah, and he said that shooting that movie was a nightmare because they kept having to take flights from California to Australia, which are 20 hours each.
That's so awful.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Also, I think he should make Happy Feet 3 and Babe 3. Because remember, George Miller, a.k.a. Filthy Frank, directed both of those movies.
What a weird thing to have on your resume. That and one of the best action movies of the last couple decades.
Not just action movies, action franchises, because the other movies are worth watching, I'd say.
Oh no, yeah, the Mad Max movies are great.
The first one is okay, but I really liked 2 and 3. I feel like
once you get over that you're watching a
1979 movie.
Oh my god, what?
Mel Gibson?
Oh my god, I forgot Mel Gibson's name. I think
that's okay. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What else deserves a
favorite Mel Gibson movie? What's your guys' favorite Michael Jackson song?
Because this is,
dude. I'd have to say it's Billie Jean, just because Kendrick Lamar gave him a pass for touching children because of that song.
Okay. Did he?
I listened to To Pimp a Butterfly today, and he said something about Michael Jackson, and then said he gave us Billie Jean. You really think he touched them kids?
Kendrick said that?
Yeah, that's a line from To Pimp a Butterfly. I'm pretty sure
serious?
it's Yes, I am so serious.
Wow,
It caught me so off guard. Hold on, I bet I can find it.
Okay, well, regardless of that, I don't think this is a topic we need to keep going down.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. I mean, that's a whole new debate on whether or not we should be separating the art from the artist. There's a Michael Jackson show coming to Broadway. A lot of people don't know about that. For some reason, that show hasn't got a lot of. I say for some reason, as if I don't know exactly why that show hasn't got a lot of publicity, but. It's just strange. Obviously he still has a great deal of support. People still think of him like he's the king of pop. It's so weird because you wonder where his legacy is going to stand in
I think that you should definitely separate the art from the artist.
Yeah, I mean
but having a musical or on Broadway about all of his music together is not celebrating the art as much as it's celebrating the artist, in my opinion.
I agree with that. That's a good point.
I think listening to Michael Jackson and enjoying Michael Jackson's music does not make you a bad person or anything, because you're just listening to music. made by a dude, and like the dude was bad. I don't like Michael Jackson as a person, but it is like Michael Jackson's a particularly interesting case because you think about like, damn, this dude literally has been like a worldwide, like his entire life since like the age of like 5, he's been like a celebrity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
That
Like he
must
was the
just
and he was the star of a family music group that was huge. Like this guy's been in the spotlight his entire life.
That
yeah.
does
It's
something
just
to a man.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like I never liked or really followed Michael Jackson enough. I remember when he died, it was a huge deal back in like
I remember
2009.
Yeah, I remember being really young and knowing his bigger songs and liking them, and then hearing that he died and being upset about it. But beyond that, none of us had an experience with him, I would assume.
I just wonder where his legacy is going to stand in like 50 years.
I think the people who think of him as their king of pop will always think of him as their king of pop, and the people who see him as a rapist will see him as not a rapist, as a pedophile will see him as a pedophile.
I mean, it's hard. It's hard with legacy. It's like that's a debate that
I mean, like everyone, like for the majority of people have done like bad things in their life. However, there is a point to be drawn between just general bad things and touching children.
Yes, I would agree with that as well.
yeah
Like you see people like X, like
yeah
like
okay
even
yeah
before he died, his legacy was like, well, he like he beat his girlfriend or whatever. I feel like, oh, this is gonna be bad because I'm like trying to quantify like and like
A bad thing. Yeah, no, I got you.
that thing, but I feel like like domestic abuse is for some reason like over time like more forgivable than pedophilia.
yeah.
I
I
don't
mean, I just think that like I don't think that I think it's fair to separate the art from the artist,
Yeah, and
but I don't think it's fair that someone should be considered a good person just because their art is good. Because I
Yeah.
feel like
yeah,
as
well,
much
yes,
as much as I mean I was never a huge like I never listened to much X. I never really considered myself one of his fans, but like a lot of people are completely willing to forgive his wrongdoings just because his music was so good and oh
and he's dead.
LLJX saved my life. But like you can appreciate his music. There's nothing wrong with that. And there's nothing wrong with mourning his death, but you can't forgive him because he creates good art. Like that
yeah.
doesn't make any sense. And that's just I don't
Well,
know.
and there's layers to it. Like
Yeah.
how outward was the person about how what their wrongdoings were? How much did they admit their fault and try and change? The other part of it is, if you kind of go at it with the rule of thumb that every celebrity is a bad person, then you can only get pleasantly surprised.
Right.
Yeah, I'm like we're looking at someone like 6ix9ine. 6ix9ine is like
Pull up to the
he has
crib.
done he's done tons of like shitty things in his life.
What? No.
I'm leaning on forgiveness with him because I feel like he just went down a rabbit hole of fame and like was just doing shitty things to get more famous and eventually it blew up in his face.
I'm not I'm not like I'm not saying like forgiveness is impossible for people who do wrong. And I think just that celebrities, if they do something wrong, it's completely publicized and they're publicly commended a lot more than someone who say on our level of fame would be if they did something completely similar. Like
Yeah.
Agreed.
it's they're under a spotlight, they're under a microscope constantly just because their mistakes are just they can act like they don't care all they want, but like their mistakes are going to affect their legacy as much as they want it to or not. And a lot of people aren't willing to ever forgive. I mean, in 30 years, people will probably still mention X's name with like disdain, just because so many people were celebrating after he died. I remember that.
That's fucked up. Like death doesn't, like, you should never celebrate someone's death unless it's like Hitler, and X is not Hitler.
Yeah.
On that note, let's go into Abel's Trivia Corner.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
Everyone's favorite part of the show. Unfortunately, this week I couldn't find a specific topic to center on,
Okay.
so we're gonna have 5 separate questions that aren't really related.
That's cool. I'm cool with that.
So,
Totally fine by me.
first question: which of these movies did the actor for the protagonist not play the main villain? So 3 of these movies have the main protagonist actor also portraying one of the main villains.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah, so the villain and the actor are the same, or the villain and the protagonist are the same actor.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
that's
So
pretty
three
clear.
of these movies have like double roles, one actor, one of them being a villain, one of them being a hero. And one of the movies does not. So
Gotcha.
Deadpool 2, Avengers 2, Doctor Strange, and Austin Powers and the Spy Who Shagged Me. Those are the 4 choices.
Was Age of Ultron one of those?
Yes, Deadpool 2, Avengers Age of Ultron.
But there's not a protagonist in that movie.
There are multiple. Like
Deadpool 2, Avengers 2. What was the third one?
Doctor Strange.
Wait, Avengers 2? So Ultron,
Who voiced Ultron again?
it's somebody that was wasted.
Don't look it up. That's cheating.
That is cheating.
Wait. Well, okay, I remember
my
Ultron
answer.
he was voiced by like some guy who was famous.
My answer is
wasn't he?
Deadpool 2.
Like he had a.
All right, Thomas, final answer.
Deadpool 2 is final answer.
All right, Spencer, do you have a final answer?
Deadpool 2, Avengers 2, Doctor Strange, and
Austin Powers 2. Wait.
I haven't seen Deadpool 2, so I don't know who the villain is. But I can't see why it would be.
Wait a minute. Wait, what am I talking? Oh, dude, I can't switch my answer, can I?
Well, I mean, Spencer hasn't decided yet.
It's Age of Ultron now.
Well, I was gonna say Age of Ultron. I mean, I think my only switch up is that this might be a trick in that Ultron might have been voiced by the guy who did Vision, but I don't think he was. Their voices were too different because Vision was also Jarvis. So I'm gonna say Age of Ultron. I think Ultron was voiced. I do not remember who voiced him, but I think it was some guy who kind of sounded like Josh Brolin.
All
I might
right.
be wrong, but Age of Ultron is my choice.
Here comes the river, boys. You guys are both correct.
What?
Age of Ultron. Age
Good
of Ultron.
stuff.
Ultron
I
is.
thought Thomas locked in his answer though.
What?
You can change it if the other person has not chosen it.
Yeah, I was thinking.
Okay,
I was
okay.
thinking about Deadpool 2, and I was like, wait a minute. That it would totally make sense if Deadpool played the villain in that movie as
Okay,
well.
that makes sense.
So you see, Age of Ultron. You got James Spader playing Ultron from the TV show The Blacklist. That's the only thing I know him from, which I actually
really?
haven't seen.
Did not know
Yeah,
he played Ultron.
Vision's played by Paul Bettany.
Oh, okay.
So you got Austin Powers in The Spy Who Shagged Me. Mike
Yeah, he's
Myers
Dr.
plays
Evil.
Austin Powers and Dr. Evil. Doctor Strange and Deadpool 2. So Deadpool 2, Ryan Reynolds plays Deadpool, but he also does the voice after some processing. They put him in as the Juggernaut because the Juggernaut's in that movie.
Oh.
And Doctor Strange Benedict Cumberbatch plays him, and then they did a bunch of work on his voice, and he actually is the voice of Dormammu.
Did not know that.
Yeah,
Wow.
pretty
Well,
interesting
you know.
tidbit. I think I thought about that question like a while ago, and I had Deadpool 2 and Doctor Strange in mind because I was watching Deadpool 2, looked it up, and I was like, who plays fucking Juggernaut? And I was like, oh, it's Ryan Reynolds. I had a third one that I had, but I forgot it, so I just picked Austin Powers. All right, question number 2. You guys are familiar with the book Matilda by Roald Dahl?
Also a
Yes.
movie.
Also a Broadway musical.
Yeah, so the
Spencer,
movie,
don't ruin everything.
which of these which of these people directed the 1996 Matilda movie? Willem Dafoe,
I actually know
John,
this one.
John Malkovich, Danny DeVito, or Steve Buscemi?
Danny DeVito.
Danny DeVito, yeah.
That was a layup, motherfuckers.
That was a popular Twitter meme, I think.
No, I've heard that before. It's good that I answered first though, because so Spencer couldn't say he gave me the answer.
I wasn't gonna say it.
All right, this one should be more of a brain scratcher.
Okay.
Wait, it's head scratcher. I said brain
Brain
scratcher.
scratcher.
All right. Which of these politicians have not guest starred on Parks and Rec?
Oh boy.
Michelle Obama, which never mind. Joe Biden, John McCain, or George Bush?
George Bush.
I was gonna say George Bush. Fuck.
Are those your
John
final
McCain, I
answers?
feel like, is the only one with enough of a sense of humor to go on a show like that.
But I know that one of them was, and then I don't know about a lot of the
I
other
know
ones.
that Joe Biden was on the show, and
Yeah.
it makes a lot of sense that Michelle Obama would be on the show. John McCain seems like he made an appearance there once or twice. I haven't seen that show since I was in middle school.
I think George Bush would totally do it. I just don't know when he would have been popular enough to do it and have it been like anything other than just
when
like.
would he have? Yeah, it's gotta be George Bush.
Correct answer is George Bush. You guys are tied 3 for 3.
Wow.
Hopefully these fucking questions get a little harder for you guys. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to start getting real tough on you next week. Maybe you should get a couple wrong on purpose so I don't make things too hard for you. All right. Question 4. In season 2 of Stranger Things, the group of boys dress up as Ghostbusters for Halloween. However, Mike and Lucas accidentally dress up as the same Ghostbuster. Which Ghostbuster did they both dress up as?
Venkman.
Peter Venkman,
It's Venkman.
Stantz, Ego Spangler, or Winston Zeddemore?
Egon Spangler.
Spangler?
Oh, I
Spangler
told you
was my
Venkman.
favorite Ghostbuster.
Venkman is my answer.
I'm gonna say Venkman too, just because I really don't know.
Final answer?
Wait,
Yeah.
why would you take my answer if you didn't know?
It's a safe one. You said it with confidence.
All right, is that final answers
Yeah,
for
yeah.
both?
Yes, because I've seen that show so many times. Of course,
You're
I've seen
both
that show once.
fucking right.
of course I'm right. It's a Stranger Things
Oh,
question.
All
Spencer has
right,
no idea.
here comes the river. Last question. The Alien franchise. We got
Oh,
Sigourney Weaver playing the main character. What was her name? We all know that her last name is Ripley. What was her first name? Was it Shannon, Sharon, Karen, or Ellen?
Okay, Spencer, you answer first.
Fuck you, Thomas.
I know the answer. I have my answer already. Spencer answers first. What?
Sharon, Karen, Ellen, and what was the other one?
Shannon.
It's not Shannon.
And maybe, in case this
I don't
scenario,
think it was Karen.
if this happens again, I might have to make a rule where you guys have to pick different answers for the last question if you get the previous 4 right.
I don't think it was Karen Ripley. I don't think it was Ellen. I'm gonna go Sharon Ripley.
All right.
It's
Spencer.
Ellen.
Is it Ellen Ripley?
It's Ellen.
Yes.
Yes.
Thomas.
Shit. All right.
Well, it was a good fight.
That was a great
Well done,
fight.
Thomas. Congratulations.
Thank you. I finally got one.
Someone wins. That's not Spencer.
There's literally 2 contestants.
We had another contestant
For
before
one episode.
Recording, but he sucked at it. But let me go back through. What did he say? Like the first one. Oh, that was.
Oh, it was so funny.
He said, "What was the first movie that Spider-Man appeared in?" He said it was the first Thor. Yeah, I remember that part in Thor 1 where it's fucking Spider-Man. That was literally like, it was a year before The Amazing Spider-Man 1 came out. That movie is I do not like that movie.
It's not good. You
However,
don't need to like it.
It's not quite as bad as Amazing Spider-Man 2, which is fucking horrible. Anyway,
Yeah.
so that was Abel's Trivia Corner. Back to you, Spencer, with the weather.
All right. As we usually do after quarantine, I am going to propose a spontaneous ranking system on you guys. I really hope you guys have seen these movies. I'm going to have you rank the 8 Harry Potter movies.
Oh, dude, I've been thinking about these all day.
I literally, like 2 months ago, I watched all of them within like 2 weeks.
Beautiful. So this should be a good conversation.
Okay,
Abel,
let's.
The floor
I've already
is yours,
decided
Abel.
my least favorite. My least favorite is Chamber of Secrets.
That's everybody's least favorite.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Because it sure as fuck is mine, and Sorcerer's Stone might be my second least. Let me put these motherfuckers in a notes.
Yeah, I'm putting them in my notes right now. Okay. Sorcerers.
And everyone knows that Prisoner of Azkaban is one of the best.
Yes, I agree. I want to watch these so bad.
Dude, we should do it. We should have movie book club, which we already do in this show. Except that we record it for 10 minutes. All right. Fuck. The ones that I always forget are the last 3, Half-Blood Prince and the 2 Deathly Hallows. I always forget them. And I think it's because like nothing really happens in Half-Blood Prince until the end. And it's not one of my favorites. And I always have trouble determining which Deathly Hallows was which. Nobody else is fucking talking.
Dude, yeah, I don't have any of those problems, is why I'm not talking.
Yeah, I feel like
Spencer, why don't you go through them?
I
have one or two more to think about really quickly.
Spencer, you gotta, when you do these ranking sections, you gotta have a ranking prepared. So then you can talk about the ranking, and then we can do our...
Great. I'm ready. So number 8, I'm gonna do number 8. I am gonna go with Chamber of Secrets. I don't think anyone really considers that a strong outing in the Harry Potter franchise. 7, I'm gonna put Deathly Hallows Part 1.
Fair choice.
Usually, I mean, it kind of just suffers from like the fact that it had to be Part 1 in one of those blatant 2-part ending to
book series.
Book
was fucking long too.
Yeah, but it wasn't even the longest Harry Potter book. It was like the third longest or something.
I thought it
Like,
was the longest.
no, Order of
Nope,
the
it's the
Phoenix
third.
was.
Order of the Phoenix is the longest.
Order of the
Damn.
Phoenix is the fifth book.
And it's like 850 pages or something.
But like, so definitely one. It's not a bad movie. It's just, it's a little bit
Slow.
unexceptional and it's slow and it's Half-Blood
There's a
Prince. I put
wedding.
after that. Number 6, I put Half-Blood Prince, which actually suffers a lot
Wow.
of the same. Like, it has a lot of issues, but like that's the one Dumbledore dies. It's the
What? Spoilers! What the hell?
Every
But,
movie that we talk about on here, we're gonna spoil.
yeah.
And we never do any spoiler warnings for any of them.
But yeah, it's a big. It's like things happened, but it's just like I feel like any movie where they leave a lot that needs to be explained in the next ones is pretty good. And I liked Half-Blood just for that reason. 5, I put Sorcerer's Stone. I mean, it's just solid. It was like the first outing. It's not like incredible, but I mean, it has pretty much everything you could want in a Harry Potter type movie, but like I feel like all the actors were still finding their footing. It was a little clunky in parts, but overall I liked it a lot. 4, Order of the Phoenix. A lot of people say this movie's really slow, but I really liked it actually. I feel like for a movie that's like that is tasked with talking about a book that's like, as Thomas just said, like 800 pages long, it did a really good job of doing that.
I agree.
I think they did a really good job of like speeding up some of the parts of the book that were actually really slow from when I remember reading it forever ago. And moving on, number 3, I got Deathly Hallows Part 2. I mean, this movie like was basically the opposite of the movie that preceded it. Like, it was just a great deal of excitement. I think they cleaned up everything really well. It was like the perfect end to that franchise. I didn't leave feeling that anything was left. Yeah, it was the best way I thought they could have ended it. I mean, they were true to the books. A really good movie. 2, I put Prisoner of Azkaban. It's just really like solid. I feel like they learned from their mistakes that they made in Chamber of Secrets, and they just let the actors who like really fell into the roles shine. Like that movie, I remember. Oh my God, why can't I remember the guy who played Snape? Snape was fantastic.
Alan
Sirius
Rickman,
Black was
you
fantastic.
disgusting.
You had like Ron coming out as like Ron and Hermione actually being more than just quirky side characters and actually starting to develop into like real characters with real motivations.
I'd say that they were pretty strong characters from the beginning. I just feel like they had like a very clear chemistry from Sorcerer's Apprentice. They lost a lot of their footing. They had like,
did you just Sorcerer's Apprentice?
Sorry,
the Nick Cage movie.
Shut up. Sorcerer's Stone.
The Electrician's Apprentice.
They lost a lot of their footing. They had that the sophomore slump in Chamber of Secrets, but then they found it and they developed a lot more in Prisoner of Azkaban. And finally, number 1, my favorite Harry Potter movie is Goblet of Fire. I just think this is the most. I don't really have.
It is the movie where SHTF shit hits the fan.
Like,
yeah, it just feels like
it's where your childhood goes away.
Well, yeah, I mean, they kill Robert Pattinson, like
spoilers.
I didn't even say the character's name. But I just feel like I've seen all these movies like 3 or 4 times, and there's no movie that I would rather watch right now more than this one.
Dude, exactly. That's how I always think of it. Like, I'm like, wow, if I were to pick a Harry Potter movie, it would probably be Goblet.
It's just so fun. Like, I just really like it.
No, it's not. It's absolutely no fun. It's the one of the most
it's
like
it's
horrifying.
Fun
it's the most horrifying one, pretty much.
It's
the movie that like
movies where
there's international terrorism.
I feel like the first
Shut
3,
up. It's my number 1.
The
Why are you
first three
saying
Harry
it's
Potter
not
movies
fun,
are
dude? There's murder in it. There's murder in it. I'm like,
It's
funny.
where the Dude,
guys,
I'm just saying it's not as fun as the first three movies. Like, if you want fun, watch fucking Chamber of Secrets.
Chamber of
What?
Secrets is the least fun.
That's the worst one.
It's the worst on my list. It's still the goofiest,
Okay.
most fun one.
I have
Another
the
reason
most
that I
fun
think
watching Goblet of Fire, though.
Can I say something,
Yes.
please?
Yes.
Another reason that I like Goblet of Fire is it felt like the first three Harry Potter movies were like, here is what Hogwarts is. Here is what all the characters in Hogwarts are. Here's what they can do. Here's everything that Hogwarts is. And then this fourth movie is like, here are some more aspects of this magical world. We're going to give you a taste, but also this is where shit hits the fan. Like, it's the transition movie. It's like if the Harry Potter trilogy, if the Harry Potter movies were a trilogy, this would be the second one. This would be like where they're cleaning up stuff, and then things start to get really interesting. Like, the problems that the characters face are more, the stakes are higher. It's more fun. I love that movie. I just love this movie.
All right.
Someone else's turn.
All right, I will go.
All right. So at number 8, we've got Chamber of Secrets. The only like really, I guess, worthwhile part of this movie is the like basilisk. I like that part, and the part where he stabs the basilisk tooth in the diary. That was super cool.
Yeah.
It's also it just kind of felt like they were kind of treading water from Sorcerer's Stone, which is like because these two movies are it's Chris Columbus. He's the guy who did like Home Alone and shit. Like they're very clearly like child-oriented movies, and like they're fine. But that's why Sorcerer's Stone is my number 7. Like they're both at the bottom because they're just not quite as like engaging.
And they're less dramatically made and shot. They're very bright and colorful, and they're just trying to be, like Harry Potter, Magic Kingdom Wizards. And I mean,
do you think like the movie that sets up like the absolute roots of the franchise is more poorly done than like than Deathly Hallows Part 1? Like, it has less merit than that.
So on my list I have Deathly Hallows Part 1, where Abel's putting Sorcerer's Stone.
Can I finish my list before we talk about yours? We can talk about that in a second, Thomas. I just want to get mine done. I just don't want to start talking about your ranking while we're talking about my ranking, because then it gets all jumbled up. So we've got 8, Chamber of Secrets, 7, Sorcerer's Stone, 6, Half-Blood Prince. It's like, I'd say it might be like the darkest of the movies. Like, fucking Dumbledore dies. Dumbledore died. He died in this one. Dumbledore died in Half-Blood Prince. There's pretty cool Snape stuff, I guess, going on. I like that.
Like the part where he kills Dumbledore.
Yeah, no, like the stuff about like has a lot of backstory about like James Potter and Lily Potter, and I think that stuff is super interesting, honestly.
And I mean, it helps bring the story completely full circle, which is very important.
It's really just like a prequel to the Deathly Hallows, though, because a lot of it is talking about the fucking Horcruxes and everything. Like, it sets up some more motivation for people that don't really need it, which is Dumbledore dying, even though I do think it was well done, and I think that was a good place to put it. Like, it really is just set up for the next 2 movies. And that brings me to my... God, this is really hard. I keep switching them around, but number 5, I guess I put Deathly Hallows 1. I think it does a great job at like showing off like because a lot of these like part 1 and part 2 movies, they have this problem where the first part is just all like character development and like showing how after the course of the series they've grown and like this is how they are, and then number 2 is just like action, set pieces, fan service, and then an end. And that's my number. My number 4 is Deathly Hallows Part 2, just because there's just so much going on, and there's a lot of it. They wrap it up really nicely at the end. And unlike movies like The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2, you actually feel like you've been with these characters on like a journey, because they've like the actors have grown up with the roles from like being like 12 or however old they are in the first one to being like, I mean, the actors are like 22 at the end of this movie, even though they're supposed to be like 17.
Right.
And I think it's a good, like, part 2 is just a great way to wrap it up. Like that last scene where like Harry and Malfoy are looking at each other, like when they're like all old and shit. CGI is a little weird, but
Wasn't quite at the Irishman standard yet.
I was gonna say, number 3, Order of Phoenix. This
Okay.
movie, like I've started to realize, like, because I really like the visual style of this director, David Yates, because he does Order of the Phoenix through Part 2, Deathly Hallows. Like he does the last 4. That's why they all like are so consistent. Like
In like their tone and their
So
color.
fire.
yeah, like everything is really dark, and this is where the characters start wearing normal clothes instead of just like their school uniforms, which is a little weird and isn't explained at all, but like they're just wearing like street clothes. Whereas like in the Goblet of Fire, they're still wearing all their school uniforms and stuff. But I think Order of the Phoenix is the best one, mainly probably because I've just seen it the most, because it's the only one that I own on like DVD. For some, I don't actually know. I own it on HD DVD, which is, I think it was supposed to be a competitor to Blu-ray when Blu-ray was just coming out in like 2007, which is when this movie came out. They made an HD DVD for it, and I have it for some reason, even though I don't have an HD DVD player. But it has like a pretty satisfying ending, and you fucking hate Umbridge, dude. Umbridge is the worst. Like, there's like these weird, Spencer, I think I sent you a few posts from like those like Harry Potter stan accounts or whatever on Instagram, like fan pages and shit.
I think you did, yeah.
And they all just hate Umbridge, and it's just like they just made her the like epitome of unlikable. They tried to make the most unlikable character, and it works, and it's so satisfying when actually I'm not going to talk about that right here, but
Why? Because there's a spoiler?
I feel like
No.
I mean, we know that Umbridge is a hateable character, but like they did such a good job of building her character.
Yeah,
Like she's hateable, but holy shit, she's a good character.
yeah.
And what's the name of the actress who played her? She just couldn't have been
accent.
Or what?
Some British actress. I said British accent for a second. That's not what I meant.
Yeah, close enough.
Yeah, she does a great job with it. You can tell that she's like, it's just one of those villain roles where the actor is just having it's like such a blast playing them, like
yeah.
Revenge of the Sith. Unlimited power. Anyways, number 2, Goblet of Fire. Just like the title, this movie is fire. It's pretty fun. All their hair is long for some reason. Like we're all getting Harry Potter Goblet of Fire hair because we haven't gotten our hair cut in a while because we're in quarantine. Haha. Haha. I saw something on Twitter. I guess we've already talked about Goblet of Fire a bit. So my number 1 is Prisoner of Azkaban. I think it's the best. It's the same director as Gravity. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
I did not know that actually.
I just think the time travel was super satisfying. Like that's done just really, really well.
Yeah, it's a shame they never like bring it up again.
Yeah, because that could have definitely done like a lot of stuff to prevent what happens in the other movies.
Yeah, plenty.
Yeah.
Like Dumbledore dying, they could just Oh, he's not dead anymore. But yeah, Prisoner of Azkaban is my favorite because they start to grow up, and it's just like, finally, thank God we're done with them being little helpless little kids. Fuck
Yeah.
those kids, dude. They suck.
All right.
Thomas, go to your ranking.
It's
Honestly,
my turn.
I don't really have. I'm just gonna comment on Abel's list. I mean, I don't really have many gripes with it. I feel like a lot of these movies are reversible, and I don't think there isn't a single one. I don't think there's a single one of them that doesn't have its merit.
Yeah, they're all like, if you're gonna watch the Harry Potter movies, you're not gonna skip any of them.
Yeah. Which, as opposed to the Star Wars franchise, you literally can and should skip many of them. But
Many?
not many, but
I'm watching the Marvel movies again. Can't skip that Thor: The Dark World. I'm watching the X-Men
I
movies
can't
again.
get enough of Thor: The Dark World, baby.
okay. So my list is Chamber, Deathly Hallows Part 1, and Sorcerer's Stone, and I did it in that order because I think that Deathly Hallows Part 1, while being good and entertaining, doesn't entertain me as much as Sorcerer's Stone because of how nostalgic it is and just like how well I know it and like how enjoyable it is for me to see young Daniel Radcliffe and all the young actors just fucking being kids. But that being said,
I like watching Emma Watson when she's older.
Okay, well, thank you. That being said, Chamber of Secrets just has a problem with being kind of like the late registration of the Harry Potter movies, where it's just like you're tired of seeing them be goofy magic wizards, and you want them to be more compelling characters. And then,
I like that comparison.
well, I mean, because late registration's like the same album, but it's like it's good, but it's just like
It's like, okay, Kanye,
do something different. Anyway,
did.
Then Deathly Hallows Part 1, well, one, I don't really remember much from it, but two, it has Part 1 plague. It doesn't compel me as part of the lore as much as any of the other ones because it's not as consequential. I feel like, I don't know. And then number 5, I have The Order of the Phoenix, and I put that there because while I do think it has one of the better endings of the franchise with that huge like water versus fire battle with Dumbledore and Voldemort in the Ministry, and it's like super sick and everything is like just crazy, and then like that's the movie where Voldemort is back, like it.
Yeah, he's back.
It suffers from this like this teenage fever almost where all the kids are like wrapped up in their emotions, and it doesn't take away from anything, but it's just not my vibe. I don't like dealing with their pubescence.
Yeah, they're like, I think the whole point of that movie was to be like, we're not little kids anymore. We're rebellious teenagers. We have the room of requirement, and we're gonna practice the dark arts in there if you're not gonna teach us it. I think
I remember that.
Yeah,
Harry's gonna kiss.
I like that movie just
Harry's
for
gonna kiss Cho Chang.
Cho
I
Chang.
really disagree with that being the name for the only Asian character in the Harry Potter franchise. But
oh, aren't you righteous, Spencer?
no, it's just a little strange. I feel like, I don't know. Sometimes I forget that J.K. Rowling actually created Harry Potter. Harry Potter just seems like one of those things that's been around forever.
Yeah, remember when she was just like, no, Dumbledore. She's just like, Dumbledore's gay, by the way.
At least she made Voldemort.
Number 4 is Deathly Hallows Part 2. I like it's almost the same thing as Endgame for me, where I just like the finale of it all, and it's super sick and epic, and I like watching Neville slice the head off of this snake and all the other crazy shit that happens in the Battle of Hogwarts. And then number 3 is the Half-Blood Prince. Mostly just because I like the whole narrative with Dumbledore and Harry and also Snape, and I think it really fleshes those characters out a whole lot. And I like how moody everybody is and how dark it feels and how well it's all done. I feel like it's tonally one of the stronger ones. Um, and I think it's super dramatic and suspenseful. And like watching Dumbledore die is one of the most powerful things in film history. Anyway, and then number two and number one, obviously, number two, Azkaban, number one, Goblet of Fire. I put Azkaban under Goblet of Fire simply because I think time travel is not as cool as dragons, and that's about it. They're both just super well done. They're both a lot of fun being with the whole gang. And yeah,
Yeah, Thomas and I have pretty similar lists.
pretty similar.
We have the same first and last two. Just mixed up a few of the third, the middle. But,
I just thought that Half-Blood Prince is definitely like second, like lower half, in my opinion. Like I don't think any like I could think about this list like a million times. I don't think I would really ever put Half-Blood Prince in the
That's
top
cool.
half.
That was mostly because it was my favorite book. I that was like what I remember liking since I've seen them last, and like what my favorite stories were. So I mean, I haven't watched them with a filmmaker's or like a film buff's eye yet, really. But
yeah, it has been a while since I've seen those movies. Admittedly, I'd
They're
like
really
to see
fun
them
to
again.
watch like in a group because like I watched it in my because I got a TV in my dorm for like a month and then spring break happened and now we're here. But we would like watch like a Harry Potter movie every day and we would just come into my room and like we would all sit there and we'd be like, "Oh, this is the one where this happens." Yeah, and then we'd just sit there and watch it and it was just like it would be like 2 p.m.
how do you even get Harry Potter movies?
Through less than legal means.
Ah,
Actually, sometimes I would yes movies 1 2 3 movies it, but sometimes if I couldn't find a good one or I found a good one but there was no subtitles and we wanted subtitles, we would rent it through YouTube.
wow,
Yeah,
that's fire.
I know.
Legal movie watching.
Think Warner Brothers got to bless up for that like $12 we spent on them. Anyways, what's next on the list, Spence bro?
I think it's time we should start talking about our movie from last week and potentially going over what we should think about for next week.
All right. Doctor Strangelove.
Yes.
I started watching it last night, finished watching it this afternoon. I don't think that was enough time to kind of think this through. However, I didn't really see any like big underlying like meaning behind it all on first glance.
Yeah, it did seem to me a little more surface level than a lot of other of Kubrick's movies.
Well, it was definitely straightforward. It wasn't trying to be anything that it wasn't. It was a movie about the Cold War and the atom bomb, and it didn't like try
Yeah,
and put that in any uncertain terms. Like it had a guy trying to fight his arm from Heiling Hitler and mistaking the president for the Führer. It wasn't discreet.
I thought it was actually pretty funny.
It
Yeah,
was great. I loved it. It was
Yeah.
it was hysterical. The conversation between Dmitri and the president. Oh my God. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. You don't have to be like this. You're being very aggressive.
No, I'm
No.
not just calling you because oh, God. I liked it. I mean, I thought it was I was very skeptical to think of a Kubrick comedy movie just because I feel like it's not one of those movies he's remembered by. Like that final scene where he's like riding the bomb down and he's swinging his cowboy hat everywhere. That's I've seen that scene. Like that's a pop culture thing that's been referenced plenty of times, I'm sure. But like I don't hear this movie talked about a lot. And I guess it's maybe just because
black and
it's
white
like
from the
it's just
60s.
so out of character for Kubrick. Like it just comedy just doesn't seem like his forte whatsoever. He likes to make these like subversive movies where like no one can really understand what's going on. But then it'd be like if like Tarantino came out and made like a romantic comedy. Like it would be out of character, and it might be good, but like it wouldn't be what people remember him by.
Yeah, I mean, like people remember Quentin Tarantino for the Pulp Fiction and for
Inglourious Bastards,
the Kill Bill Volume 1, but not Volume 2. Just kidding. Probably both of them. I haven't seen either of them.
I mean, they're technically the same movie. They were made at the same time. He just
like
couldn't release like a 6-hour movie at the theater.
Tarantino's Avengers Infinity War and Endgame. Like Kubrick is known for, I guess I'd say what I perceive to be his two big movies are 2001 and The Shining. And those are both
Clockwork
like
Orange.
Oh yeah, those are the big three. I haven't seen that one. I watched 2001: A Space Odyssey when I was way too young to understand anything that was going on, and I just thought it was kind of a weird, boring movie because I was like 12, and I was like, people who like movies like this movie, so I'm gonna watch it before I'll be able to understand what's going on. And then I was just like, well, that was a big fucking waste of time. I'm gonna watch fucking Transformers 3 again. I hate my younger self. Anyways, Doctor
Last time I
Strangelove.
talked about 2001, you guys were not happy with me.
Well, because I still haven't seen it since I was a dumb 12-year-old.
Right. Well, I think this was a good movie. I think this was a good choice to watch, just because I don't always want to throw like a classic movie out there. Like, let's watch Pulp Fiction and talk about it. Like, I think movies like Doctor Strangelove, I mean, I feel like in like 20 years, not many people are going to be talking about it, quoting it, or anything like that. And I feel like what little pop culture references there are to it aren't going to be as prevalent. And so I think talking about it is interesting, especially since it is kind of dated, but it's still really funny. Like, I feel like that this is the type of movie that could be made today and it would still be pretty funny.
Yeah,
like I feel like a lot of the like political type comedy movies that are made today take a lot of motivation from a movie like this.
Yeah, and the absurdist stretching of reality where, you know, a war general can just kind of sit down with the president and be like, yeah, there's a bunch of nukes headed towards Russia, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Like, what do you do? And the answer is, like, do as much as you can, but the end is still, I guess we're gonna spoil these movies, I guess. Spoilers from now on. All the bombs in the fucking world go off and everyone dies. What a great comedy movie, Kubrick.
Dude, it's like the Fahrenheit 451s of Kubrick movies.
You keep referencing that movie, but I've never seen
No,
it.
it's a book.
It's not
a Ray Bradbury book.
Oh, I thought you were talking about. Never mind. I got it confused with the Michael Moore.
Oh, Fahrenheit 9/11 and Fahrenheit 11/9.
Two classic films.
Fahrenheit 451. I was actually looking at, because they made like a HBO miniseries about it or something, and it has fucking like abysmal reviews on IMDb. Like, this is a HBO. Actually, no, it's an HBO movie, and it has a 4.9 out of 10 on IMDb, and IMDb is ridiculously forgiving. Like, let me just look up Transformers: The Last Night. That is a higher score, 5.2 out of 10.
Remember how Stanley Tucci played like 3 characters in the Transformers franchise?
He played in Transformers 4. He played. Why do I care? Why do I know this shit? It's Joshua Joyce. He's like a billionaire businessman. And then in Transformers 5, he plays fucking Merlin in the Middle Ages. And the first scene takes place, and there's a dragon transformer. And the dragon transformer kills a bunch of people from like the Knights of the Round Table, and
Do you
Stanley
remember
Tucci is Merlin.
his character in Transformers 4 was the one who was like, I don't like the sound. It should feel like you're stepping into the future. Remember
Or Beats. The pill.
that? Oh yeah. Do you like music?
The pill. Maybe something a little more violent, and he fucking makes Transformium. They called it Transformium.
No one, even if people listen to this, they would not know what the fuck we were talking about. It's just that
violent. The fucking Beats by Dre pill turns into a fucking hand-a-gun, and he's just holding it.
Abel, this summer when we can see each other, we need to watch that movie again.
That's just what I'm saying for the next week's podcast. I say we all watch Bumblebee.
Oh no, I don't want to watch Bumblebee. I don't want to watch Bumblebee.
If I ruin the
Abel,
Transformers franchise
if
by
you
making
choose Bumblebee, I am going to like consider that homework. Like I don't want to watch that. I really have no idea to watch, no desire to watch a good Transformers
John Cena, isn't it?
I don't want to watch it. It has a 92% on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't want to watch it.
Dude, I don't want to watch it because it's good. It's the only thing that you could say about
The
a
Transformers franchise is
It's supposed
so
to be
sacred
terrible.
because it's so bad, and that's why I love it so much. But I don't want to watch a good one. They should have just stuck to their guns, made shit movies that make a lot of money, and just that's it. You're done.
All right, I think we should. Is there anything else we want to talk about for Doctor Strangelove?
I don't think so. But
I don't really have anything else.
I would like to say,
Thomas, you first.
camera work wise, it's incredible. I just how still everything was, and it just made every single shot look like a photograph that like might actually be in a war room. I don't know. That was the vibe I got. I just really liked the way and like Doctor Strangelove was just sitting in the background as an unintroduced character for a while.
Yeah.
Like, who is that weirdo?
Like, oh, roll credits.
Yeah, but it's like, who is the weirdo with the weird hair and the sunglasses in the middle of the room? And I mean, you know, but it's just like I like seeing that imagery.
I would like to watch another Kubrick movie this week just so we have something to compare it to in discussion.
No.
Because I think adding I just think adding some sort of continuity to this would be interesting. Like, because as of now, the movies we watched, like we haven't been able to build upon past discussions. Like we couldn't talk about Sicario or Good Time. It would just be like,
you guys want to do Sicario too, and you guys said no, and so then I watched it by myself.
Because okay.
Wow, Abel.
It was pretty good, and I recommend watching it if you liked the first one. But I was thinking maybe since I picked the first two basically, and then you picked this one, we just start doing cycle.
Okay.
Where Thomas, you get to pick this one, and then I get to pick the next one, and then Spencer the one after that.
I'm trying to watch Rushmore because none of us have seen it.
All right.
Okay.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
I can watch that.
a little early Wes Anderson. Actually, there's one movie that I do want to show you, but I've seen it, and I wanted to show it. We'll do it a different time. We'll do it in like 3 weeks. But yeah, it's called Clerks. Have either of you guys seen it?
No,
I have not.
But I'm interested because I've never seen it. Actually, no, I have seen a Kevin Smith movie. It's called Tusk, and I did not like it.
This movie's fire. But anyway, yeah, let's watch Rushmore this week.
Do not watch Tusk. It's fucking like it's kind of fucking hilarious at the end, but like it's not worth watching. Just like the whole premise of that movie is this weird guy who does like a podcast on weird things goes to meet this dude, and the dude just kidnaps him and turns him into a walrus. And that's the whole fucking movie. And at the end, you see this weird half human, half like walrus person, and it looks really weird. And the movie ends.
Yeah, cool. I fuck with that, man. That's cool, bro.
All right. Well, anyways, we're gonna watch Wes Anderson's first movie or whatever, Rushmore.
Yeah,
Got Jason Schwartzman is in it.
sick. I didn't do much research on it. It's just in my list.
Bill Murray's in it. I'm pretty sure Bill Murray's in like every fucking Wes Anderson movie though.
Yeah, most of them.
I like Wes Anderson.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, all right. Well, we've got our assignment for next week.
So, and this has been some dudes making some thoughts.
Dudes making
Wonderful.
thoughts, discussing many things. All right. We'll see you guys next week with the movies.